The other option is to see if we can go and get a roof up in the new. Kelly. Kelly, there's no other rooms, eh?
No.
No, I was just thinking if it's getting organised to get the roofs up at EQ, at the new building, where you know they got each room. They have cameras set up in there.
They're full at the moment with students.
I know. I know. I'm just saying they got cameras there. It's so cool. Have you been doing it? They got green screens.
I know. We've got staff ones on the other side.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, alright. So is it recording?
Yeah, both of them are.
Hi, my name's Poppy Benno. Hi, my name's Kirsten Lovett.
Hi, I'm Luke Dalton. You might know me too.
I'm Jason Anderson.
I'm Ruby Lovell.
We have really similar last names.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright.
What did y'all think? Okay.
Do we want to start with overall mark? So we all have an idea rough yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so my overall mark, I had 20 out of 25 for mine. Bruce?
Same.
We're basing this on the task sheet.
The task sheet, the original task sheet. Yeah.
Frankenstein and
Yeah.
Frankenstein Terminator 2, but I'm using the 1984 Lee dystopian features.
I gave it very shaky 20, like I was thinking maybe I was being a little bit too nice because of the task sheet and all that. But yeah, 20 out of 25 is fine.
I was 20 out of 25 as well. And upon rereading just a few minutes ago, I was thinking maybe putting it up because
I definitely put it up.
On new task sheet I would go up, but I've also been told that I marked a bit tough. So
I was 24 out of 25.
Wow.
Good, because I thought it's pretty good for age.
Yeah.
I just noticed the 1984 thing, I'm like, oh, it must be a mistake, so I'll just go off that.
Yeah.
But then with the new task sheet going through, like, sweet, I can definitely see how that's all fit in there. But yeah, I don't know, I feel like it's pretty good.
I did get like a 17, but I was marking a bit harshly, and I think part of that was the qualifiers are still a little bit iffy to me, so I think that was a lot to do with it.
On the criteria.
Yeah, the qualifiers and the criteria, just like, like discerning, effective,
I had to put this many tabs onto my glossary to try to understand.
I think the next step we should take, so overall we've got, I'd say we've got one that pushes it to 17, which is 3 below the 3 average of 20, and 1 to 4, so at the moment the average is 20 to 21. Like if you did it mathematically between all of us. Do we want to talk about what our overall specific ones, like knowledge and application?
Yep.
So for knowledge application for mine, it was 7 out of 9.
Mine as well.
Okay.
So what brought that down for me, I think I gave it a 6. Was analysis, the aesthetic features and stylistic devices. I saw that they had used aesthetic features, but I didn't really see them going in depth into stylistic devices. And once again, because they're both in there, I'm not sure how much to weigh.
I know, it's such a difficult choice.
I had the exact same. I had the exact same statement. Like I looked at it as effects of aesthetic features definitely there. They use the stylistic devices in their talk. So when they talk about 1984, they're using the language 1984 uses for different people, but then also using the actual word we use in current day. So I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
I think
they turned around and said they use the words like the concept of a personal life or own life as it is known in 1984. So they've gone to attempt it, but they haven't really gone beyond that.
But I do have to say, I really liked how, rather than talking about, the citizens of the society or whatever, they would use the specific terms used in the text. So, for example, party members for 1984, or I can't remember the one for for we, but they did that as well. So like
Ciphers.
yes, ciphers. Like
The second builder.
I feel like that was very much a combination of that stylistic devices and the aesthetic features, because it's really prompting an emotional response, but it's a key feature of language that they're using in the texts.
And the fact that they'd used it with the statement of like what it is in the real world versus what it isn't is kind of them trying to use it.
Yeah.
I agree with you that if it's not explicit as I would have liked it.
So I'm almost wondering whether I should bump mine up.
But it's sort of when they're using all those, size devices and stuff, you sort of when you read it, you sort of get what they're talking about. They don't need to explain it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think
they've
explicitly
used
for
it
them.
really well, I think, to explore, both of them and compare both of them. Because they talk about uniformity, they talk about individualism. And then they go in and talk about the totalitarian states. And at the end, I think they really tie it in together. I don't think they need to link it to modern day.
It's not even linking modern day though. To me, it's not. The problem is they haven't explicitly used the stylized text as they don't have a paragraph at all which explains the stylized text.
I suppose. Can I jump in?
Yeah.
So it's kind of that struggle between, how really well done analysis isn't explicitly always saying, my analysis of this shows that, like, it's probably not a good example, but like it's more subtle. And I feel like, if you're reading it through it, like you can tell they've really analysed behind this, like before they've even written this, all the stuff that's going on in those texts, and then they've written it all around that analysis, but it's not really explicitly
and they've got a
stated.
clear understanding of what those words mean to be able to talk about them in this way that makes us understand them.
But the terminology to me, the terminology for me is a effective analysis of the effects of stylistic devices. And it's analysing that. And
I did, analyse was one of the key sort of cognitive verbs that I really struggled with in this, and I actually went and wrote down underneath this the definition they've got, and the second one I thought was really helpful because it says examine or consider something in order to explain and interpret it for the purpose of finding meaning or relationships or identifying patterns, similarities and differences. And I really feel like they, even though it's not they've not explicitly been in comparison to 1984 us has done this, the way they've compared and contrasted them and the way they've sort of unpacked how those themes are talked about in the books, it works.
I think that's what I think that's where I've gone with effective rather than going straight up to discerning. But in the case, if everybody is in agreement that they would say that's more of a discerning analysis, that the unspoken ability to analyse is what pushes into discerning. I wouldn't mind moving mine up to discerning, and that would push mine mark into an 8.
It is a tough one when things are sort of subtext rather than context type of thing.
But if you read it and go, wow, that's pretty cool that they've identified and got all those things from reading those two texts. Come to all those conclusions.
I just fear that it might be too superficial. I fear that the person's going and chose more the idea that the person's looked at the text and gone, if I use these hip words.
So you're going down to superficial?
No, not that. Actually, that's a good point because that's actually in there. No, what I mean is they found the hit words, the words that mean something, and they put it into their work, but they've never really they can turn around and say this is what this means, but they don't analyze it.
There's definitely times I'm noticing where it does seem like they've maybe run it through the thesaurus on the Word document, but I then went through and tried to find instances where that really couldn't be what they're doing. And so, in the first paragraph where they're talking about living automatons, and the third one where they talk about conditioned ignorance, they've really gone in and used the language of the text in a really good way.
Did you have to look up the word oligarchy?
Yeah.
I was sitting there going, oligarch. Okay. I've heard the word, I've never heard it used in the context. Went and researched it, and it's actually meaning it's the few rule of the most, and the whole idea that in most terms it's usually the rich read the poor. But if you don't read it as that, you actually read it as the few believe the many. It does make sense for 1984 and which I
Yeah.
actually found.
Like I like a lot of their language choices they made in this.
It is
But that,
yeah.
but that's
Enjoyed reading.
Yeah, and like that's another sort of mark I gave that I was confident about in the other one, but coming back to the analysis, like it works with regards to it being analysis because it's very much drawing from that text and showing that they clearly understood how that text works, and I feel like that sort of analysis is
And if you
it.
hadn't read those texts, if you hadn't read those texts, you read this, you sort of get like, oh, okay, this is what it's about. Like it sort of gives you like a
Yeah.
real like, you know.
I spent a good like hour and a half finding that we text.
So would we all agree, I don't know, would we all agree on like 8 for this?
Yeah, I'm torn between 7 and 8 now.
Yeah,
I had it as 7.
Would you be confident enough to push it up to an 8?
I would be fine with pushing it.
And would you be confident enough to bring it down to an 8?
It would have strengthened.
Because I don't think I'd go to a 9 just because I didn't think they did the second one as discerning.
Yeah, I had.
Cultural assumption. that
Yeah,
it's
just
fine.
because I couldn't really see it very much.
It was more about the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
And
it.
it's more about the surveillance and the individuals.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
If you are to invest in the proper assessment task sheet, do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but if we were basing it on the task sheet we were
Yeah.
basing on,
No,
I had
so then
effective
Basing it on
analysis.
this task sheet 8, the other one I'd probably go 9.
Okay, cool. So we'll say 8 for that. I'm going to write mine in a different colour, so I know.
Yeah.
Then when,
Yeah.
when we discuss this at the end, are we going by the new task sheet or the old task sheet?
I think we go by what we're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's, you know, it's like she said, it's pretty accurate to practice.
I need to change the colour of that one because
Borrow mine.
colour.
Okay,
I love having it red too. I was writing red all over it. I was like, okay. Okay, so what are we saying? We're saying 8.
Yeah, based on the original task sheet. Yeah.
Make sure you write original.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
8 original, 9 proper.
Alright.
I just knew colours is my focus. So it's, my original marks are in red, and my original setup is in red, and my new ones are in blue.
Okay, everyone, what are we on to?
Organisation and development. Sorry.
Organisation.
Okay, so organisation and development. I had 6 out of 8.
I had 6 as well.
I had 7. But I was probably more likely to pull it down in this one than anything. So,
See, yeah, it's interesting because I was really relying on this this structure that she gave us, which I think yeah, she just gave it to us as a handout last week, and it's literally about blog posts. So because I was really going back to this, that's probably why my mark is in the effective range. Whereas it's actually a journal article. So,
but
yeah.
that's valid. Like with the, you know, with the task we were given, and it was a blog post.
And that's good to have a that's a good thing to have as a basis.
Yeah, because so it's got hook, like so my setup for a journal article would be completely different to this because this is hook, context, analysis, then summary / judgment.
See, I actually had though. So you have you chosen like all 3 of the areas as effective?
Yeah.
I had this like the first one, effective use of patterns and conventions. I said that's effective. But I said the second one, I said discerning selection and synthesis of subject matter to support perspectives because they've chosen very well from the text exactly
I
what.
was the same. I was effective, discerning, and then effective.
Yeah, and I connect to effective because of the fact that effective organisation and sequencing of subject matter includes effective use of cohesive devices to emphasize ideas. There are some parts there that are very kind of like disjointed, and you kind of feel like they've wrote a paragraph. Where does it fit into the rest of it?
Yes, yep, I very much found that. Yeah, so I had the first 2 I had as discerning, and with the middle one me being willing to put it down to effective, and then the last one I had ineffective. And I think my rationale behind it, I had the last one ineffective.
Effective,
Yeah, true.
Is it effective? Is actually there?
Is it?
No,
it's another one. Yeah.
Inconsistent.
My rationale, I think, for the first one was that I wasn't really thinking about this sort of structure of the blog, and I felt like it did sort of flow very well on the whole, but then when I went down into the specifics of like the selection and synthesis of subject matter and like sequencing and everything, that's where I felt it fell down, because like you were talking about paragraphs, there would be like chunks of sentences that I highlighted that were just like, this really doesn't support what you put before it, like it should be.
And you have a lot of, I don't know if run-on sentences play a role into that as well though. Like there's some sentences that they pattern the sentence and then they run onto that sentence and it really doesn't break up the text well. I gave it effective mainly because I love the beginning of how they've written it. They've gone with a really distinct quote that kind of does sum up the idea of dystopia, and I think it's a beautiful way to begin any essay. They really helped me push towards that already. So that was moving me from this, like what I'd say is a suitable to like already to an effective, and then you read through it and they start using quotes and they do a fantastic job.
The quotes are good.
And the way they also use the square bracketing, like how you square bracket in your quote to fill in something you don't understand, like you might not, like if it doesn't make a reference to something. I only found that out.
So is that in discerning use of cohesive devices? Is that? I'm just trying to remember what cohesive devices means.
Done anything for organisation thought.
Yeah.
Like I haven't written any notes about it.
I saw the pattern. The only thing what really didn't put me in discerning was I didn't see the link. Whenever I write an essay, I always go Peel method, the point, evidence, explanation, link, and there was very little link to me. There was every sentence would finish off either with a link or not without a link. Some paragraphs, some paragraphs had the link back to the thesis, but then there'd be one or two paragraphs that didn't.
Yeah, they've definitely, like throughout, they're using, I think, kind of good linking ones in different paragraphs, but it's not consistent.
Yeah.
So, like for example, in the first 3, I think it is, like the sentence of the third paragraph links back to what's being talked about in the second paragraph, and the second paragraph, the first sentence links back to what's being talked about in the first one. That I definitely wrote down as good, but it's not something that's consistent throughout. And same thing with them ending with like a contextualizing to the modern era thing, like they do it sometimes, but not always.
Yeah, that's actually what I wrote in my comments about the conclusion, because the conclusion was one of those things for me that I really looked at, that I maybe judged a little bit harshly. And I said, you summed up your points about concepts of individuality and the self-will that you did. However, you could have elaborated more on why 1984 and me are still relevant today.
Yeah, so I completely agree. I had the same issue. I agree, and I think it's the big point is that they've written this and they haven't contextualized it to how they, like, based on what we were given as a task sheet, contextualize it to the modern day.
I think that comes down to a lot of the time in the final sentence they were making a good point, but it wouldn't exactly link back to what the thesis of that paragraph was. It would fit better in a different spot or something like that.
Or they try to link back to the base thesis.
I actually really liked the final paragraph just because I felt like they finally really coherently stated how the individuality links into like government control, links into like suppression of all these things, whereas it had been a little bit disjointed in some ways earlier, because like things had just not been, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a really good...
like the totalitarian government, you could have made a great linkage to examples of that. Like you could have turned around and said that we've seen totalitarian governments exist in the current age, and that this would have been and this is something that we've got to keep an eye on, how they are controlling their individuals. And you bring it back into the whole real world context from what you said in the first paragraph where you made that context.
So
They do drop in the fake news bit.
I just found, sorry.
if we are to link it back to the actual task sheet analysis, do they do that better in that? Because I feel like
I think a lot of the issues I've still got in regards to certain, like for example, I think a really good example of what I'm talking about with things just not quite being accurate sort of flow-ons with regards to the sentence is in the second paragraph, it talks about, in both texts, a political oligarchy aims to enforce uniformity among citizens to destroy an individual's ability to distinguish oneself from others. Okay, so destroying an individual's ability to distinguish oneself. And they follow that up by saying, thereby imposing party doctrines as morally correct. And I can see kind of how that fits, but it's not an exact link. Like, you need another bit about, like, you know, this creates a vacuum in your intellectual, you know, philosophy or whatever, which then imposes the party's doctrine. Like, it just sometimes was missing the next step.
Or, like, for me, and there's a great statement here where it's, in fact, this conditioned ignorance actually legitimizes insights. Paradoxical slogans since the government gains friends. But then when he puts in the bracket of fake news and the truth, it's like chucking in this link to modern era, but not.
I think it's more putting, like, I took it as more it's putting in there to go, this is what I mean.
Yeah, I get that. But
I like that bit, to be honest.
I love the sentence, but the bit where he's chucked in the all fake news and the truth.
Yeah.
That's where I get it. Like, it's like you can't throw in this reference to a modern era thing. Fake news is very modern.
Yeah.
But it's in 1984.
Is it?
Like,
The whole double speak and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you don't call it fake news, do you?
Yeah, but it's establishing those connections.
I think once again, it's like what we were sort of talking about before, like how explicit do we want it to be? Do we want it to be subtle? Do we want it to be explicit? And I don't know if, like, that's in terms of what's in the criteria. I don't know that that's specified. You know what I mean? That's like an individual preference in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's something I struggled with the
I'm
criteria.
a person who believes that, like, you can be subtle, but I also think that at points you have to be explicit. You have to basically state that this is what you like. But then again, it might come down to my scientific thing.
It really does. Like,
yeah, and like I feel like this is a pretty advanced. Rather than saying in contrast to 1984.
and I think I've very much been influenced by, I always got a lot of feedback from university professors being like, you're being too explicit with how you're stating things flowing. Like, stop putting that in.
I've been told I'm too subtle at times.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that they've done a good job by still getting the point across without explicitly going, in contrast, 1984, and we do this, and this. They've said it in a smart way.
But would you still say it's discerning or effective? That's the question. I still
think it's
to me,
effective.
I'm still thinking effective for me.
I'm just finding it really hard to do because they've got the actual
Complications.
because I'm like, I feel like they've
But honestly, this is classic real world. Like, when I was on placement, they had a moderation meeting where they'd mark something in term one just horribly, but they had to follow on with that same marking sort of, you know, where they'd mark something as a B where it should have been like a C minus. Like, and they had to still follow on with that same like flow.
Whereas Grinda actually, when I was there, they basically just went, "Oh, look, that we got it wrong. We're just going to move everybody's marks anyway, even if it was from the first term." I was like, really?
So yeah, real world.
Okay,
Just to get us back on.
Yeah.
So at the effective use of
Patterns and
conventions. That's what we're talking about at the moment.
Yeah, so let's see. Patterns and conventions. Okay, so
I'm loving
patterns
this.
and conventions are genres distinguishing structures, features, and patterns that relate to context, purpose, and audience. So very much your sheet of blog stuff.
Yeah. So if you've given it effective
Yeah, so I gave it effective.
based on that,
Yeah, based on that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy.
I think I'm in
I think
agreement
I'm
with
doing
that.
that
No worries, let you know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that's effective. Next one is the selection and synthesis of subject matter to support perspectives. Do we think that the person's actually done this really well? He's taken the stuff from the books and from the study.
I think the stuff is chosen
Yes.
is good, which is discriminating the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Which is just
It's just not sequenced and organized properly, which I would put down.
Yeah.
Like the next one's organization.
And sequencing. So that's why, yeah. So the sort of discerning selection and
Do you
synthesis.
get kind of what I mean?
In terms of selection, though, I'm happy to go up to a discerning.
Yeah.
But let's talk about organisation.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the big
That's the one big
So
one.
what do you
Okay.
mean, Ruby? Like, where are you concerned?
So, organisation and sequencing of subject matter. So, for example, in certain paragraphs, I've got it in a lot of paragraphs actually, that So the 5th paragraph, it opens it up by saying freedom to express emotion is abolished, further removing citizens' ability to distinguish their own sense of reality. But they don't really talk about like emotion in my mind throughout the rest of it. What they're really talking about is reality versus like truth versus fiction. And they keep trying to jam it in saying it's like an emotional thing, but it doesn't really make sense with what they're talking about.
That's one of them. And
So like I feel like that's not really sequencing an organisation properly because they've not got that paragraph saying what it should be saying. Like their examples are good, but it's not. Yeah.
I have issue with the connecting parts of text too. I have issues there where they have connected parts of text together, like that, as you say there. That's part of that issue.
Yeah.
It's not connecting it, but there's also further on. There's statements that are made that kind of jump into the paragraph.
Yeah.
For instance.
Because I've sort of gone like that. Like this is sort of about uniformity,
Yeah.
and then they go from here into individualism,
Yeah.
and then they sort of go back to more of a uniformity type thing. So that's how I've sort
Yeah.
of done
But
it.
they've not signposted it in a way that I think is showing the structure and organisation.
Did anyone else have trouble? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
With the community study you just chucked in there.
Oh yeah.
That's ridiculous. Like, why
The disturbing effects of this are evident in the QT study in 2017. I was like, because I don't know, there's no, you can't reference an essay if you're writing this essay off in a class. You're not going to be able to go, oh, that references A, B, you know. But I feel like at the same time,
But also that's relevant to a journal article.
yeah,
It is relevant.
but it's not relevant.
Not a blog.
Not a blog.
It's so
Not a
random
blog.
because there's no other mention of anything.
So that's something there where to me that's not
I think
that's not a
that-
discerning use of like that's something that they chuck into that.
It also goes into textual.
Yeah, it's textual, but it's also in this one as well. I think.
Okay.
Another example I've got of what I'm talking about is so in the second from last paragraph, most of it's talking about how they basically prevented them having free time to prevent them from developing any sort of individuality. But then they've got a sentence right in the middle which says, combine this with the surveillance facilitated by telescreens and the thought police, and individuals feel as though they're constantly being scrutinised by anyone around them, but that doesn't really fit in with all that stuff.
Yeah. No, I don't.
No, with the stuff about, it fits in with individualism, but it doesn't fit in with their specific paragraph
About free time, about having
Yeah.
time to.
I'd say it would.
I see
that.
I see the link.
Constantly being watched
I know, yeah.
by the TV in your house.
But if you
And
start being
if I tried-
scrutinised, it means you're contemplating yourself
Yeah.
to.
And I could definitely argue with myself. I was like, okay, no, that does make sense because then do you have any free time even when you're free? But they didn't put that. They just sort of continued on, which again, I guess comes back to subtlety versus explicit.
Yeah, and also if
But
they
to me that-
combine this with the surveillance of, sort of saying, and this as well, you're pretty much recipe.
The question comes down though: would you give it a discerning or would you give it an effective?
Which one are we?
For this last section, for this effective or
I'd give it effective.
Because of the points you made, Ruby, I agree with you.
Okay, so effective. So that means I would say that we're pushing at 6 then, because we have the 1 discerning, 2 effective, so 6. Yeah.
6 for the original.
Not a 5.
The original, and
What
what do
about
we then?
Well,
in the context
Well,
of
I,
the
I definitely think the first one, patterns and conventions, would probably bump up to discerning. What do you guys reckon? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like that one was obviously, if it's a blog, it's not really following that.
yeah.
a lot more sense in context.
So do we think go up to a 7?
I would say a 7. It wouldn't be a 8.
I don't think it's an 8 because there is still two things.
Yeah, it's not a perfect piece.
With your organisation secret, I think that was the biggest thing.
Okay. Woohoo, I'm happy it's not just sort of me who was...
But you made the point though, like before that.
I will say I came into this worried that I was going to be completely off mark with at least 1 or 2 of us, and I was going to be like sitting here butting heads with people
Yeah.
going, I'm right, you're... Yeah, and we've seen...
At least no one's like, oh, I think it's C. Or,
Yeah.
Am I hearing, did you get to consensus?
So far,
one
one more. Do textual features now. We've gone
good
through
conversations.
each one. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you've got
discussed
consensus on each page of the RSS.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what numbers?
So, like, for example, this one on the old one was
Very
saying...
cool.
Old one was saying it's this this.
Okay.
The new one, it would be that.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah. So we're comparing old and new at the same time.
Yeah.
And then with our old ones, which
Yeah.
Because it makes a lot more sense with the new task sheet, like the actual task sheet. Do you know what I mean?
It really does.
like we'd really pulled them down to effective in this one just because it wasn't following that blog post.
But see how some stuff didn't matter, didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
You
It
know?
sort of just like went, they must have chosen their own thing. And, you know, like, they're
But you know, effective use of language, you know, that
Yes.
stuff didn't change, but
Yeah.
appropriate for purpose, appropriate
Yeah.
for audience,
Yeah.
that changed.
Yeah, context appropriate, blah blah blah.
Okay.
Okay, alright. And so we're sitting around.
At the moment,
That's
Round
second
the top one generally. Yeah.
still like, yeah, borderline B, borderline A.
Alright. Textual features. So discerning language choices. I gave it discerning. That's the one that I was very sure of. I really liked their language.
Yeah, I had the exact same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I do need to make a point that
Yes.
they didn't italicize things.
Yes. And I was like, where do we put that?
I think that's in the.
Discerning use of written features.
Yes, that's
That-
what I was gonna say.
So I see that directing me down
It was
there.
only so tiny. That didn't
Yeah.
really drag me.
Is
See,
it?
I did pull them down for it, but I think that in combination with some punctuation stuff.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure because there were some questionable commas to me, but
Um,
once
Well, there are
Yeah.
technically,
but like
according.
once again, I just wasn't sure how much that mattered.
Yes. Yeah.
There is over 8 punctuation
left out
mistakes.
Oh, there you go.
Yep, there are
Over
8 punctuation mistakes, 15 grammar mistakes, and 3 spelling mistakes.
God, how'd you find all this?
What are the spelling mistakes? I don't know.
Instead they wrote.
I feel like that's my question.
I'll wait to guys. So yeah, the 3 spell.
Yeah, but I thought it would be that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Now you've
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah. So the 3 spelling mistakes.
Yep.
It is timely. It's timely for readers to heed on. See, timely is the word itself doesn't seem to fit the context.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to.
I think that's the
Additionally, all ciphers are made to wear pale blue unifs. It's maybe
Where are you?
Oh, but I think Eunice
is a word. I'm
Yeah.
realizing it now. Yeah, I'm
I
realizing
looked
it
it
now.
up because I was like, that's not. It's a
Yeah,
word. from-
unif is uniforms. Yeah, no, I'm saying. So the punctuation mistakes, I definitely said alright.
So what paragraph are we at?
Fourth paragraph, blue units. It's like the third line.
Blue uniforms. I realize it now.
Oh, well, I put it as a mistake as well, and then I went, okay, wait, let's Google search it. It's a word from the text. So I did the same thing.
But like the first paragraph.
Yep.
Sorry, go back to there. After the word behaviours and relationships, it's just in these societies often a typical totalitarian
Yeah.
ruling elite aims to complete. Yeah, relationships shouldn't have a comma.
And before that, and before and should have come.
Aren't the behaviours and that can have a comma? It's
Yeah,
not.
kind of.
It's a bit of a grey
Recent
area.
times they've kind of after and you kind of
Later on, when they talk about the junior anti-sex league
you kind of can.
and outer party
You can
members,
also
you
start-
don't need a comma after that. And this is going to sound really young. We've got that petty teachers going through going, you don't need a comma here, you don't need a comma here.
Well, I had a couple like that as well, like in the second paragraph, second line, where it says, concept of the self is manipulated if not abolished by the ruling party. They really should have if not abolished, I think, in some sort of parentheses or like dashes or whatever, because how it sounds now is the concept of the self is manipulated if it's not abolished by the ruling party, which is not.
Italicized or something?
No, it should be in, I put it in parentheses, like brackets. In brackets, just because the concept of the self is manipulated, if not abolished, by the ruling party. So the if not abolished is like a secondary thought. You know what I mean? Because as it is, the way it reads is two separate things. So the concept, it reads as detail the manner in which the concept of the self is manipulated. End of concept. If this concept of the self is not abolished by the ruling party, if you extend it out, that's what it reads as to me right now. Could be a semicolon. Oh no, it couldn't because that's the same thing. But it's the if not abolished relates to the manipulated, doesn't it?
I feel like, from my understanding, there isn't a grammar issue.
But it's a. I feel like it is like a grammar punctuation issue because it doesn't read properly.
I can see where you're going, but I wouldn't have done it now because I decided.
I will say this: the level at which the text has been completed at, I would say, is of a college graduate's like writing level, grammar-wise. It's got 1,451 words.
Oh, wow. So they're right on that upper limit.
Yeah. I'm giving you characters right now. 9,453 characters. Reading time is 5 minutes 48 seconds, and speaking time is 11 minutes and 9 seconds.
That's not right. Took me way longer than 5 minutes.
Word length is 5.3 letters. Sentence length is 29.6.
Look, I will say that my gut instinct is that we are being nitpicky.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just love to be able to do this.
Okay, so we're definitely discerning for the first one. Combination of a range of grammatically accurate / appropriate language structures.
I think that the language they're using maybe.
What's the difference between those second two criteria?
Yeah, you got a point. They both talk about.
One talks about grammatically
Literally exactly the same.
One's talking about grammar and talking about the actual setup of how the sentence is written, and the other one's talking about the actual use of the features of it, like how it's written, like how's that sentence a flow on sentence? Is it
Quite.
no?
Quite. It's
Sorry.
more about one's about structure and one's about content.
Which one's structure and which content?
First
The
one.
way, yeah. So the first one where it says combination of a range of things, when you combine things get combined in an order. So either words get combined in an order in a sentence, and that's syntax, or they get combined in a document, like think of paragraphs and stuff. So whether it's the structure of the text or the structure of the sentence, that's all about structure, the combinations. And then the second one is, is have you spelled it right? What you've actually used. What you've actually used.
Like the word.
Did you choose the right word? Did you spell it right? So you can choose the right word, and then you can combine
That
it with
changed
things.
because my understanding of language choice is completely different, wasn't it? Yeah.
Knowing that, I would probably give.
Anyway, I should not interrupt your Q&A.
Okay, I would give
Thank you,
the
Hod.
second criteria effective and the third one discerning. That's what I would do. But what about everyone else?
That's what I had.
Yep.
What did you have? Sorry.
Effective and discerning for the second two. In that.
Yeah, so I have the last one is discerning, and the second one is effective.
Yeah.
And I had the third one. The first one still was so that's what.
I think I tend to agree because the words they use,
Agree.
and stop them all.
Yep.
Yeah, the spelling mistakes I found weren't actually spelling mistakes. So.
Do that in grade 12.
Yeah.
I think in terms of spelling off the charts, it's great. Yeah, I agree.
I think, as we said, the biggest issue for the reason why we go to effective is the fact that there was a couple of run-on sentences. There are some grammar issues with the commas.
And the structuring issues I was talking about before.
Yeah, so I think we completely agree on that statement. So we're saying discerning, effective, discerning, and that would push us to a 7.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So currently,
That's for the old.
I think
Yeah, old and new, honestly.
and you to me that doesn't change. Yeah.
Because this is,
There's no context basis in that. It's
Did we all agree on that? Are you alright with that, Poppy? Yeah, alright. Okay, alright.
So I've had to change mine. So I got 8, 6, 7 as the new marks for this the first. Yep. And that means mine's 21 out of 25.
That was our average.
Yeah. Which it was actually our average, which works out interestingly.
Yeah, alright, so we got 21 out of 25 for the original task sheet. 23 out of 25 for the... Okay.
Well, I'm really happy with that guy.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So
I'm scared, but actually,
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
I still found it very hard to. I like how you guys did it. Did you guys each of these in colour coordinated?
Had to.
I just broke it up in my head.
Well, I just looked at what I found was December, and that's how I marked it.
Yeah.
But I think I should have broken it up.
I think I did a better combination of what you did, breaking it down, because I had to break it down because it wasn't making any sense to me.
Okay.
If you think you're getting close to a consensus,
Yeah, we've come to
Yeah,
a
we come to
consensus.
consensus.
that number 4 one, I was just talking to the other group.
Yep.
Because I always think that it's about prepare the feedback for the students, but we're not even there yet. We're still in the QA space. So generating the feedback is about get ready to basically tell the rest of this group or to justify to any of your colleagues. Did you have good consensus, or did you have to really argue a lot? And when you were struggling to get consensus, what were the sticking points? You know, so maybe have some conversation about what you would report back on that. And preparation and scaffolding. I think this does get into a conversation about students. You know, so if this is the task, what would we do to scaffold this for students? You can get there if you'd like to, but definitely capture that first feedback.
Okay. So I think we've been pretty effective in our consensus. We've basically, from the get-go, as you said earlier, we've reached consensus based. We actually got to the average anyway of what was like the rough average. I'm not going to say that my maths was absolutely great on that, but it was the rough average of what everybody agreed on. So basis on the first task. So I feel like we've done it very effectively. The only sticking points I think we had was some of us. I can't think of any sticking points we actually had.
I think most of it came from not having an accurate task sheet. So like the big difference was that I think the like thing that really dragged my original marks down was I read that handout and I was like, this was right.
There's just a blog sheet, yeah.
Just journal structure that maybe you go, that's actually
Yeah, so I think for me, I think that's where the big difference came in. Oh, and also the organisational thing was probably the only other.
I think the big thing that we got into though, can you imagine high school level students having to learn journal structure?
I was surprised that was
we did journal articles in school, and I remember being in my craft history and in film television I doing journal
But journal articles and film and television are different to journal
I was
articles.
still comparing text.
Yeah, but English can be quite.
I definitely did persuasive, like newspaper articles. I think I remember doing that,
But I've never done a
but
journal.
not a journal article, to be honest.
because I did a different process. We did a lot of like in-class essays.
Whereabouts were you?
Hands, but I did the IB.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was hard to compare. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't know what was normal before
I think
this.
the big thing is I've been told from the people who pointed it out is that if you're going to teach journal article, you're not teaching the kids to read a journal article and base their writing on that journal article they read. You're teaching them the way the journal article is written. So in the context of that, for a student to be at the level he is on this task and doing it the journal article style at that level, I think it's quite high, quite cheap. I'm like, yeah. I don't know whether it's as achievable as an essay would be for every student, but for him it's impressive. As I said, it's a college. It is a reads at a college level. Well, sorry, not college. In Australia, a university level, not a college level.
Thank you. I agree, like especially like definitely at least like a first year university thing. Like that's
And this is year 11. This isn't year 12.
It's year 12.
Is it?
Yeah, IA1 is year 12.
Okay, alright. Because
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
super impressed. And I was like, wait, this is
I'll be 2 seconds. You guys keep talking. I'm just going to take a bathroom break. And any good teacher may teach one.
Oh yeah, we can do
I
that.
think we need to record for.
For feedback.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Alright, well,
Yeah.
let's keep going
Have
with
some
feedback.
Tim Tams that has been brought to the group.
Thank you. Consistency of teacher judgments that we need to improve. Okay, I feel like we were definitely helped by the fact we were all at a pretty standard, like, all around the same level. Like, 3 of us had the exact same.
If you're going to this,
yeah, that was probably
just looking at journal articles,
Yeah, I just said
it
good.
really doesn't.
It was introducing the information.
Clarify?
I don't know.
the real task sheet.
Yeah, but that's like scientific journal.
I read it and I thought
That's not like no. Yeah, I'm not sure. But what you're reading out there sounds like the structure of a scientific journal article. It's not the structure of something that's comparing texts. Okay.
I would say that consistency of teacher judgment did improve because we all got to talk about because I think we were all maybe a little bit iffy about the textual features one, or like at least some of us were like, how hard do we do? How much does it matter about these commas? You know,
Yeah, textual, so like grammar and all that type of
So I felt like that was good to come to a consensus about that, and I don't know, for me anyway, I feel like I would be able to do that a lot easier, like the next piece. I don't know.
I think the qualifiers are particularly like hard to align to punctuation and stuff. Like, I feel more comfortable with a quantity, like this number of mistakes here.
Oh my god, yeah.
That would be great.
I just remembered one other sort of point of difference that we had around like subtext versus explicitly stated. I feel like that's something that is probably going to be a major problem in a lot of moderations that we go into. Teachers who want it really explicitly laid out and clear, and teachers who don't mind if it's sort of implied. I think that's a big weighing sort of scale thing.
And I think the other thing is, it probably depends on how we were taught as to what we think is the right thing. Because when I was in year 11 and 12, I just remember my teacher really drilling into me that she wanted certain like use juxtapose, use this, use that kind of thing. So that's kind of where I come at it from sometimes. But you know.
Yeah, so yeah, I just have like my honours supervisor's like critique of my writing going through my head of like, stop being so like structural around how you're going about this analysis. Like, don't tell me that you're about to do this, just flow it through like just easily.
That's so interesting to me because no one has ever said that to me, but maybe it's because I'm not structural enough.
I don't know. In science, like when we did comparing and contrasting different articles, like we would talk about something we were looking at, like say turtle doves, and they're looking at two people would do a study on the same thing. You'd basically just sit there going, in contrast to this, blah 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 blah. And in this house, in this paper, they stated this, and you actually state that. And it's very direct in your face. And to us, that's very high quality because a scientist doesn't want to be bogged down and trying to read through stuff. They want to read direct. Like, you don't want to sit there going for, oh god, I can't understand this guy. Let me just figure this out. You might mean this. No, we like to know.
Yeah, no. And I got the complete sort of opposite feedback.
Scientists are so trash each other so much fun.
Okay, alright. Were there any other points of contention anyone can think about?
Yes. Yes. I think we were pretty tight.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It came from the same sort of point, really, I think.
I think the big thing is, I was originally coming in with this like thought process that I was going to be so much off from everybody else, and I've been told I was marking tough. Well, yeah, but like I mean, like I didn't even take that as a point of view. I based mine off because like I base mine off marking up. I do like the nest. That's the word for it. When you nest the marks, you start from a low mark and you move it up to a high mark. And I was worried that I was going to come into it going, oh, he's missed this. You guys are all going to be like, oh, well, Luke, you know, we think it's all an A, and I'm going to be sitting there going.
But sorry, I also want to read it in my category to effective.
I know, and I freaked out, and the reason why I had to highlight all of this is because then, after I read it, I then went and looked at this, and I was like, wait, all the things I'm identifying as really good, I don't know if that's actually in this criteria. So then I really had to unpack it to figure out what is this actually saying, are the things I'm thinking good actually relating to the criteria. And it did in a lot of instances, it was just get into it.
I think this.
That's what I really want to.
I think a big thing for me was I read the article, started there going, this is a really good article, but then I automatically went straight away in my head, separate it from the idea of I like it to does it hit the mark for the criteria? Because I went with it into my mind going, okay, looked at the criteria and went, okay, does it actually do that? And then I looked for it in the text. And then I had you can read the text and go, I really like that, but you shouldn't let that influence how you mark your student.
It's going to be hard though in class and you get your students assignments.
Oh, we went back, don't worry.
The top student does it.
We've done the other ones.
So we've got to stick to that. If you're not into that standard, that's how it
Well, I mean, imagine if you're walking in class and the top student does a really horrible job, and you're kind of like, this is my top student, oh my god, the rest of my students are going to be terrible, and you go reading like every other student's doing better, and you're going,
you can probably tell that we like at least one of them that will have a really good response, and then all the others you can tell if they're simple.
I just know from
Really hoping I don't have to spend as much time on ones in schools. It took me like 3 months.
Okay. It took me 20 minutes.
I was freaking the hell out.
But then you gotta think like, I don't know, maybe
Yeah, I know. And I think a lot of that time was me going through, finding this, trying to like get in my head, okay, that's what textual features is meaning in this context. Yeah.
Like maths.
I think
Like maths.
I think once you have the context of your mark and what your mark means, it will make it much simpler. Like for me, I went in there with already thinking I knew what everything meant. So I sat there going, like, for me, it was 20 to 30 minutes. I'm just going, yep, that's definitely there. Yep, that's definitely there. That's definitely this level. That's definitely this level. And then we get to here and we notice that there's slight variation on that. But I feel like if you get to that point where you can just go, this is what I know is effectively at B and was effectively at A, then you're going to work. And when you read through stuff, you'll be able to start doing that much quicker and much quicker and much quicker.
Oh, I totally did.
just to see what the feedback is there.
If we finish,
Yeah, we've got our feedback basically.
But they went, right, smashed it. Yeah, I'm going to take this.
do you want us to stop recording? Okay, cool. Awesome.
Are we going to get together as a class and like talk about all of our things now?
Yes.
So you're saying that they gave them like top line A's and we're giving them we're being a bit harsh.
It'll be the big lesson that you walk away with.